Hey guys, it's Melissa. Today I wanted to talk to you about finding strength and courage, being strong enough to bend in times of difficulty. The last few days I've been talking about the need to keep your thoughts positive and to be in the flow of life. And I truly believe that, but I also understand that things happen to us in life. And while it would be great in a perfect world, we would always be thinking positive thoughts, but it doesn't always happen. Sometimes things happen to us that really throw us for a loop and really knock us off course. The thing is that the universe says yes to everything in our lives, which means that when we're putting out low vibration, when we're putting out thoughts of fear, of self-doubt, of worry, anxiety, the universe is saying yes to those things too. So if we're not learning how to change our thoughts, we're going to experience those things in our lives. And it's a process for many of us. So we are slowly every day learning how to change our thoughts. But it didn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen overnight. So you're still going to have those moments when things happen to you that you weren't expecting, that you didn't want to happen. I like to call them tower moments because they're things where sometimes it seems like the whole foundation of whatever you would put all of this energy into just crumbles. And if that happens to you, and when that happens to you, you need to find an inner strength to get through it. And one of the things that is really important for you to do is to understand that when those things happen to you, it's not the end of the world. You can change things. And that thing that happened to you probably happened for you because you were not where you needed to be. I found that in a lot of times in life, when I've prayed for things that I wanted to see, other things had to fall apart around me in order for me to realize that the universe was telling me, okay, well, if you want this, you've got to move your feet. And I wasn't moving my feet. I would say, I want this. I want a better life. I want a better job. I want a better whatever. And the universe is like, well, you have to let go of that old stuff in order to make room for the new. It's like decluttering your house. You've got to get rid of the old stuff because it's taking up energy in your house in order to make room for the new stuff that's going to come in. In the same way, you've got to make room in your life to get rid of the old stuff so the new stuff can come in. That being said, even though that's why those things happen to us, when you look at it like that, you're like, oh, well, that changes everything. I see that the universe was actually conspiring on my behalf to bring me what I wanted. It's just sometimes that doesn't always look pleasant at first. Sometimes it looks like something bad happened when actually it was just preparing you for something much, much better. It's hard to see that with our human brain, our human eyes, and to think about that with our human brains, but that's exactly what's happening. We're being prepared for exactly what we wanted, but sometimes in order to do that, we have to let go of the things that aren't serving us so that we can make room for these new and better things that are coming in. And so I thought what I would do today is talk to you also about the importance of self-care during this time, because having strength and courage when you're going through something difficult is not easy. Some people absolutely fall apart, and it's like they can't even function and they can't get out of bed, and they are afflicted with such a crippling depression when something bad happens. And I understand that, I really do. The problem is, if you're allowing yourself to be in that state where you're not functioning, you're just in bed, you don't feel like doing anything, you're calling more of that state in. It's like you're not doing anything to change what's happening around you. We're actually creating our own realities by our thoughts. So when we continue to focus on and dwell on the negative thoughts, that's what's going to keep showing up for us. When something happens that isn't what you expected, of course you want to acknowledge it. Well, yeah, that happened. I mean, we're not just going to ignore it and say, oh, well, no big deal. We might get to a place where we can do that, and that's great. But I'm telling you, if you're just starting to get into this whole mindset shift, you're probably not going to do that at first. But what you can do is you can acknowledge the feeling that, this sucked. This was not what I wanted to happen at all. And then you need to think about, what is my reality? What do I want my reality to be? Because whatever it is that you're focusing on, you're creating. Instead of thinking about what is actually happening in your life, imagine the way you want it to be so that your vibration is matching your desire. And when your vibration matches your desire, they will gravitate to meet each other. And then that's when you actually get into manifesting. Sometimes when we're not seeing what we want to happen, it isn't because we don't deserve it or it's not on its way. Sometimes it's simply all about timing. Everything is in perfect timing. And if you are very anxious and saying, why am I not seeing this? Why are these things happening? Then you're not in alignment with what you're wanting to see. So it's important that you really just let go of everything and just relax. Okay, just relax. We've got to learn how to let go of control. A lot of things that happen to us, they're actually happening for us. And if we could see it that way, we would understand. But when we think things are happening to us, they're really happening to teach us a lesson or to help us let go of things that we need to let go of in order to get ready for things that are better. And we need to learn how to let go of control of what the outcome will be. You know, it's like we need to get in alignment with what we want and then say, okay, universe, this is what I want. I know it's going to happen. I'm expecting it to happen, and now I'm just going to let go and just allow it to happen. And the thing is, we can change our environment around us by changing our thoughts. So if you're going through something that's really difficult, what is so important is for you to be able to get out of that dark space. And it's hard to do because it's much easier to stay in that dark space. It really is. It's easier just to keep having those thoughts and going down that spiral staircase of negativity. It's easier to do that. It's harder to change your thought patterns. It's like, think about when you're in a pool. My cousins and I always used to do the whirlpool thing, where we would walk around the edge of the pool for like 5 minutes, and then we're like, okay, now turn and go the other way. It was so difficult to walk back against the current, and it would sometimes knock you down and pull you under the water. And it depends on how strong that current is as to how difficult it is to swim back. So in the example, if we were walking around the edge of the pool for like a minute and then we tried to switch and go the other way, it wasn't as difficult. But if we walked around the edge of the pool for 5 minutes and then we tried to switch, it was so much more difficult. In the same way, it depends on how far you've gone down that staircase or that rabbit hole into negativity. However far you've gone down is like the equivalent of how many minutes you walked around in that whirlpool. To try to switch your thought patterns and change it up is going to be harder the longer you've been in that thought pattern. That's why getting into the habit of recognizing your negative thoughts early on and changing them becomes so important, because it's a lot harder to change if you've already been going down that negative spiral and just going over and over and over again, if you try to turn and switch now, it's not impossible. Believe me, it's totally possible, but it's going to be a little harder because you've been in it for so long. But it is so important that you do that. And one of the first things you can do to help lift yourself out of it is to think about all of the things that you appreciate and all of the things that you love about your life. That's why having a gratitude journal is so awesome, because when you go back and look at it, you're like, my life isn't that bad. Look at all the awesome things that I have. These are all the great things that I have that I'm grateful for every day. And honestly, before I even get out of bed, before I let my feet touch the floor, the very first thing I do is I say thank you to God for all the things that I'm grateful for that day. Even for things that if I looked at it in a different way, I might not feel grateful for it. Getting out of bed. I don't necessarily want to get out of bed early in the morning, but I can be grateful that I had a nice warm bed to get out of. I may not feel like driving to work and having an hour drive, but I can be thankful that I have a car that gets me there, and it's a nice warm car, and so it keeps me safe from the elements outside. I might not always be grateful that I have to run my kids places, but I'm super grateful that I have them and that I get to be a part of their lives. So you can take anything and flip it around and see the positive in it. Anything at all. And when you start showing gratitude for all the things that you have, you're raising your vibration and you're going to start seeing change in your life. This doesn't always happen overnight, so I want you to be patient with yourself. You're going to fall back into your old ways sometimes. It happens. But it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, you failed, you can never do it again. No, you just get back up, you adjust your crown, and you move on. Tomorrow is a new day. The next second is a new second. You don't have to wait till the next day to start changing your mindset again. You can totally go back. I always, if I catch myself in the middle of that when I'm starting to have a bad day, I say rewind, delete about the whole morning. Like rewind, delete that whole morning. That was not good. That was not my best version of myself. I want to start over. And I start from then on, okay, this is going to be different. I'm going to be different. And that's the thing, like people expect for new things to show up and come in, but they don't change their behavior. They don't change their thought patterns. How do you expect things to come to you if you don't change you? Because that's where it all starts, is within you. If you're in a negative place, don't think, don't speak, don't call anyone, don't build on it, because you're just creating more and more of that negativity. All you need to do is take a deep breath, relax, chill out for a little bit, and then start over with your positive, start thinking about the things you're grateful for. Because once you start, this happened and blah, 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 and you keep going and going and going, it's like the whirlpool. And the more you feed into it, the harder it is to get out of. Excuse me. So stop feeding those negative thoughts, okay? When those bad things or things you deem to be bad, because really they're not bad things. They're just things that happen to you to I feel like it's a test, personally, a test for myself. How did I react to that? And it's not a pass-fail. It's just okay, how did I react? Could I have done better? And almost always, it's like, yes, there were things I could have done better. Usually what it amounts to is I could have recognized that sooner, stopped it sooner. Because again, like the whirlpool, if I give a little more time to that, it's going to make it harder to get out of it. But if I recognize it right away that, here goes the negative thoughts coming in. Here is the pattern. If I can recognize it faster, I can get out of it faster. So, really, those things that are happening, they boil down to fear. Fear is the emotion we're feeling almost always when things happen to us. It's emotions that are based on fear. Because resentment, guilt, those are all fear-based emotions too. When you're choosing some kind of fearful thought, you're choosing a thought that's not up to speed with the desire that you hold. So you're not in alignment with the things you want to see. You're not vibrationally in alignment. You don't have to do this large amount of work to see what it is you want to see in your life. What you have to do is to understand that it's already there. You've already created all of these things in the vortex. They're in the vortex there. Remember, the vortex is just that place of alignment with this source or with the universe or with God, whatever you want to call your higher power. The vortex is simply the place of being in alignment with source. And everything is already there. So all we have to do is to know it's there, to know it's on its way, and to try to focus on the things that we are happy about, joyful about, grateful about, because that's how we should be living life. I talked about that yesterday, loving life. You should love your life. But if you're focusing on the negative, you're not in alignment. You've totally gotten out of alignment. So what should you do when that happens? Number one, you need to realize that you're out of alignment. The feeling you feel when you're out of alignment is overwhelm, fear, stress, exhaustion. Those are all things that you start feeling when you're out of alignment because it feels like you're swimming upstream. It's heavy, it's hard, it's difficult. Life isn't really supposed to be that way. We just make it that way. So when you start to feel like I'm not there, I'm not in alignment because this is difficult, this is not making me happy, you need to stop, take a deep breath, and whatever it is that you want, know it's coming. I know it. I'm worthy of it. Life has shown me that I am worthy of what I want. I'm just now watching it come about. It's already happening. The universe is already working on my behalf behind the scenes to provide me what is for my highest good in divine timing. So always speak and think kindly about yourself because you need love and approval too. And if you're unhappy, again, it's because you're not in alignment with who you are. And if you're not happy at your job, maybe that's not the job for you. When we're unhappy, it's because we're not in alignment. So if you're unhappy, you're probably not supposed to be doing it. And one more thing to think about is that when you're complaining all of the time, complaining holds you in a place of refusing to receive the things that you've been asking for. When you're trying to complain and then justify why you're complaining, you are being held in a place where you are not going to get what you've been asking for. Blaming, if you're blaming people, situations, it holds you in a place of refusing to let in the things that you've been asking for. feeling guilty, feeling angry. It is refusal. And most people aren't understanding that. When you refuse to let go in those situations, to stop having an emotional reaction, you're refusing to cooperate with the universe in the right way. When you become more connected to Source, you become more stable, and you're more able to roll with the things that happen to you. And there's going to be a point in time in your life when those same things that would have happened to you and bothered you a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 years ago, they don't bother you anymore. And you know that you're growing and your soul is growing when you get to that place. So it's really all up to you. Some of the things you can do to stop focusing on the pain, the guilt, the whatever, all those feelings you really should not be focusing on, is to take care of yourself, love yourself. So it's really important that you're taking time every day to hold some space for you. Whether that is going for a walk outside in nature, the weather is starting to get nicer. Where I am, we have spring, and I can hear the birds chirping outside my window. I absolutely love that sound. And I just went yesterday to pick out patio furniture so that I can spend more time outside this summer and spring, and I cannot wait. Get yourself grounded in nature. Walk on the grass without your shoes. You need to be grounded. Take a moment to meditate. People feel differently about meditation. Some people consider it torture because they find it hard to sit and not do anything. If you're one of those people, maybe guided meditation is more for you, which is fine. You can find short little 5 to 10 minute guided meditations. I even have them on my website for purchase. But you can find little guided meditations, and all it takes is 5 minutes to totally and completely change your attitude and your mind, because you're sitting in stillness and you're letting go of everything that happened to you that day, but you're also getting closer and more in touch with your higher self. We don't always hear our higher selves or listen to our intuition because we're so busy we don't hear it. But slowing down and being in the moment and taking a moment to meditate, that will help you. There are EFT tappings out there, emotional freedom technique. So if you really need to let something go, try doing that. There's so many things that we can do to help us get back into the right vibration. I like listening to music. To me, music is so important, and it is such an easy way to raise your vibration because it makes you feel good. And the whole point of raising your vibration is to make you feel good. It should make you feel good. So another thing you can do when trying to pivot from those negative emotions to the positive, so we're flipping around in the whirlpool and trying to walk against the current, is when you say a negative emotion, anytime you feel it, stop and just say, something important is happening here. Otherwise, I would not be feeling the negative emotion. So what is it that I want? And here's an example. Maybe a bill came in that you did not expect. And now you're worried about your checking account, worried maybe that it'll be overdrawn. So you get angry and you get upset. What the emotion is really about is you not having money, right? It's your finances, not feeling secure. If you turn your attention to the fact that the universe always has your back, the universe is always providing, and start saying those mantras to you I like money is constantly flowing to me. I also like the one that just is a simple gratitude. I'm so thankful that I always have more than enough money to pay my bills. A new one that I just heard recently that I love is the money that I spend comes back to me multiplied. We've got to shift the attention away from the negative. So it's the fear of losing your money that you're really afraid of. But when you realize that in that vortex you've created, there's an unlimited supply of money. And all you have to do is be able to access it. And the way we do that is with our energy vibration. So stop, identify the negative, flip it around, and then the positive starts to begin. And in that moment, your feeling starts to change. Because I never have enough money is a bad feeling. Changing it with I always have more than enough money. The universe is always providing for me. Any money I spend comes back to me multiplied. That starts to change how you feel inside, and that feels a lot better than I don't have enough. And the I don't have enough is triggering all of the things that we've learned from our past that really, like those limiting beliefs that are not helping us, they're hurting us. They're stopping us from being able to get what we truly want because we don't feel like we deserve it or we don't feel like it's there. And it is there. It is there. So stop going down that negative spiral staircase. Stop walking in the circle the same way, in that same circle of negativity. You need to learn to start stopping what you're doing, paying attention, and then going the other way. So never take an action where there's a negative emotion because it will be counterproductive. Always start talking to yourself to change that emotion until you feel better, and then take action. Because when you do things, when you're in that negative state, we're not thinking logically. We're just not. Think about it. When you get emotional and you lose control and you just start yelling, half the time what you say does not even make sense. At least that's what used to happen to me. I would just start screaming, and what I even would yell never even made sense. So you don't have control when you're in that state. So take a moment, stop what you're doing. Why are you feeling this negative emotion? What's behind it? Now change it. Because when you can figure out what it is that's causing the reaction, if it's in a relationship and your partner says something to you and you get upset, think about what was it the person said? How did it make you feel? What was the feeling? What did it trigger? Let's say your partner said, you let the dog chew the couch and it made you mad. Well, it's triggering in you the feeling that your partner doesn't think that you're capable of taking care of the dog. I mean, that's just an example. But maybe you feel like he doesn't think that you're worthy or he doesn't think that you're capable. Really, that's just a projection because it's that you have that feeling of insecurity. So what you need to be able to do is to stop and say, what was that about? Oh, I think that I'm not capable of doing things. But you know that you are. So stop the thought right there, take a breath, and then start your mantras. I am more than capable. The universe has given me many, many abilities. I am talented, I'm creative. We're flipping that script in our minds. And then having that reaction, then you've taken the power away from that. And you've given the power back to yourself. Because when you lose it and you go down that emotional rabbit hole, you've just lost all of your power. When you stop, recognize what the feeling's truly about, you're taking your power back. Because then you're saying to yourself, I'm not going to believe that. I'm not going to allow what that person said to define who I am or what I think about myself. And I'm going to flip that script now. And I know that I'm worthy. I know that I'm capable. And I'm not going to get upset anymore. The rule of thumb should be, I'm going to be very, very happy. Okay? That's it. Just be happy. And whatever it takes for you to do that. Meditate, tappings, walk in nature, go get a massage, take a hot bath with a nice glass of wine or whatever you prefer. I like having a cup of coffee outside on the deck. Whatever it is that makes you happy, go do that. Do more of that. And make sure that you've reserved a little bit of time every day just for you. All right, guys. Well, if you are in a situation where, your finances are not where you want them to be, and maybe you're not where you want to be, think about joining the upcoming class that Heather Dorian and I are creating. We are creating this class for people who want to get their finances back on track, and I am going to help you get your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and all of those kinds of things back on track. We will be launching this in the next coming few weeks, so just keep an eye out for that. If you would like to schedule a Reiki session, Reiki is great if you've been feeling sick or if you just feel like you're drained emotionally and you need a session. You can book a session with me. You can book a card reading with me or a one-on-one coaching session with me. I'll be offering past life regression very soon as well. So get on my website for more information. You can also purchase those guided meditations on my website. If you ever have any questions, please email me at any time or message me on Facebook. I always respond to those. As always, if you like this podcast, please share it with others so that we can be a light for others. I want to thank you always for supporting me and listening to me. I really, truly enjoy it. And I want to thank those who personally reach out to me to let me know that you've helped, or that I've helped you in some way, because you're actually helping me as well. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate you. And I hope that you guys have an awesome day. Don't forget to stop by my Facebook Lives Tuesdays at 7. That is where I do a free card reading for you. Have an awesome day. I'm sending you massive love and light. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.